And we are live. So
Okay,
let's see when people start joining.
we're on the air. I see we're on the air. It's a nice little platform.
It is. It's very helpful.
Yeah.
It's really helpful. Really, really helpful. So let's see. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this webinar on air quality, vicinity, and optimization. I know everybody's coming in slowly, but we want to make sure that we honors everybody's time. So I'm asking you, everyone, to give us a little bit of patience so everyone can get here as much as possible. So it's 11 o'clock right now. We're going to just be chatting along a few while everybody gets into the room. We're chatting with Bill Porter from Austin Air Systems. Hi, Bill. Good morning.
Good morning, and welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to be able to be talking to you. I was telling you before how happy I am right now that people are starting to pay attention to what air quality means and what really, how does it really impacts our immune system and even our productivity. So I hope that we can answer questions. We can go over, important topics on why this is so important more than ever right
For
now,
sure.
and
For
this
sure.
and this within these crazy times that we're living, right?
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah,
don't know how
and
to call it. I don't know how to call it anymore.
it's a different world. That's how I call it. It's a different world that we live in. And air quality has always been important to people. They just haven't verbalized it as much as they are now.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, people just go for the, let's say, the medicine fix, right? To go to the doctor and say, I have an allergy, and go to the allergy shots and go
Right.
through the whole steroids and everything else in between.
But
So,
what is the source? Where's the source? And I think that's, everybody can, if you have a headache, you take an aspirin. Well, what's causing the headache, right? So maybe if you eliminated what's causing the headache, then you wouldn't need the aspirin. So interesting.
hello, Romina from Buenos Aires. Hi, Romy. Good morning. Good morning. Nice to have you here.
Good morning.
So let's give it a little bit of time. It's 11:02, so I'm gonna give it to 11:10 at least to see
Okay.
if anybody comes in. In the meantime, if anyone in the chat room would like to have some kind of ideas or questions, just put it out there. Start typing in. This is a very open conversation, as I always said to everyone. Join us for a conversation.
Great.
We're not giving a seminar or a master class. This is more a conversational topic where everyone has a chance to have a question and have something to say that is valuable for us, valuable is for you as well.
Of course. What's the weather like where you are, Sorbel?
As you know, you are upstate New York, Buffalo, right?
We are.
Yeah. So I believe that you guys have that you have like 10 degrees less than I have because I'm in close to the city.
Okay. Go. I gotcha. We are about, it's supposed to be 70 today, I think.
70 over there. The
Supposed to
highest
be.
the highest down here is like 65.
Oh, what the heck?
So I don't know. We must have like weird time zones right now
It's
in the same state. Holy cow,
73
73.
right now. It's warm.
And we are in the same state. This is
I
so
know.
funny. This is really funny.
Good
I
morning,
thought that
Rowena.
over there you guys are colder than us.
No, no, not today.
Not today. Not today.
Well, what will be good too is that the people that may not be able to join us today, they'll be able to have this information that they can take with them, and they can review it later, right? That'll be available to if someone had something come up and they couldn't make the webinar.
Yes, the webinar is going to be available on our website in Punta Cana Wellness, and also going to be available on the YouTube channel. And all the information that will be shared today will also be shared through an email, where everyone will have access to the presentation, will have access to Bill's information for any more questions or things that you would like to know. So yeah, the information is going to be there. I always share it. And your information as your email or where to contact you or anything like that will be
Perfect.
available as well. So if anyone has any questions or would like more information on air purifying systems, that will be also available.
Perfect.
So it's 11:05. I'm trying to be mindful of everybody joining, but I want to be mindful also of everybody's time.
Sure.
So you know what? Let's start this party. I believe that everyone that is in here deserves to be here, and whoever it couldn't make it will make it later on.
Sure.
So again, thank you so much, Bill, for the opportunity to talk to us, to let us know about air quality. And the question is, air quality is an optimization already. To give a little bit of background, Bill Poirier is the Director of Business Development for Austin Air Systems. So Bill, go ahead. Let's talk about you, and let's talk about a little bit about Austin Air Systems. What you do, what has been your career, what is
Sure.
the expertise that makes difference Austin Air Systems from any other air system purification?
Sure. Well, thank you, Sorabel, and thank you for the opportunity to share this information with everyone, whether it's live or it's later. So let me just, as Sorabel said, my name is Bill Poirier. I'm the Director of Business Development for Austin Air Systems. And I've been in the manufacturing sector here in Buffalo, New York for the last 40 years. And you can see my experience there. I've worked with oxygen concentrators. I've worked with temperature management products. I've worked with patient monitoring systems and electrodes. And my most recent job was with a company called Buffalo Filter. And it's the one job that really is closely tied with the job I currently have. Buffalo Filter was and is the leading manufacturer of surgical smoke evacuation products. Those products are used during surgery in the operating room, and they evacuate smoke, and they filter that smoke through a filter that contains activated carbon and ULPA media, which is very similar to HEPA media, which is what's in our filters. So it was a natural transition to go from Buffalo Filter to Austin Air. And Austin Air Systems, let me talk a little bit about them next. This is a lot of information. I won't go through all of it, but there's a timeline here with Austin Air. They were started in 1990. So 30 years ago this year, Austin Air became a company. And their first air purifier was called the Health Mate. And there's a couple distinct things I want to point out within this slide. And right in the middle of it, in 2001, after 9/11, the Red Cross, FEMA, and the Housing and Urban Development Department of the United States suggested and recommended the Austin Air purifiers be put into facilities, homes, schools, everywhere in the New York City area to deal with all of the after effect and the particulate that was in the air after those attacks. In 2002, there was a huge chemical weapon disarmament down in Anniston, Alabama. There are 8 of those facilities in the United States where they store chemical weapons. And through a treaty, the United States needed to dispose of those. And there was somewhat of a pushback from the residents in Anniston. And so the US government came to Austin Air, and we deployed the largest number of air purifiers we've ever deployed in one place. I think it was almost 30,000 of them.
Wow.
And that was to help with the air quality in case there were any issues with that destruction of those weapons. And then in 2016, there was a national there was a natural gas leak in Porter Ranch, California, called the Aliso Canyon gas leak, well publicized. You can look it up. And what happened was there was a gas leak at a gas well, and they came to us, and we put air purifiers in California within a 5-mile radius of that gas leak. And what's interesting about that is just this year, a study was published. So what happened is the gas leak actually didn't cause as many issues as people thought, because natural gas is very light and it went into the atmosphere. So by the time the air purifiers got to California, the air quality was basically normal. But they put these purifiers, since they already had them, they put them in all the schools within that 5-mile radius. And what they found 3 years later is that the test scores of the students within that 5-mile radius of schools were better than the students that lived outside that 5-mile radius. And so there's been some studies done that are linking air quality with better cognitive function. And so it's an interesting thing. I think everybody would agree that you think better and you just behave and act better when the air quality around you is clear. Everybody walks out to the beach and takes a deep breath to smell all that fresh air, and you just feel better. So I think that's an interesting thing to share. And so about our products, they're very, again, they've been around for a long time. We are really good at what we do. We don't have any plastic. We don't have any polystyrene in our systems. They're made from steel, and everything is made right here. Everything.
I do have a question, and I think it's a question that I spoke with you about that.
Certainly.
Why is recommended a medical grade? What is the difference between an air purifier that is just an air purifier, like, you go and buy one in Home Depot, or saying, okay, so I want one that is medical grade?
Right.
What exactly does that mean?
That's a great question. So HEPA, high efficiency particle arrestance, is what that stands for. And it's basically a media that was created back in the 40s. And there are different types of HEPA. So you'll see on some air purifiers, you'll see HEPA-like. They'll say we have HEPA-like filters, or they have. And medical grade HEPA, which is the media that we use, is used in medical devices. So it's used in hospitals, it's used in operating rooms, and it's medical grade. So think of it as different levels of whatever the subject matter might be. You have different qualities of wine. Right? You can buy a $7 bottle of wine, or you can buy a $50 bottle of wine. Well, you can buy HEPA paper that is medical grade HEPA, or you can buy HEPA-like paper. And all of our media, paper media, same thing, is tested to make sure that it meets the HEPA standard, which is 99.97% of 0.3 microns and larger get captured by that media. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I just have to realize and put my head into defining what a micron is. Micron is a little tiny super tiny particle.
I'll get to that. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. So, and the other thing is, people will say, well, why can't I just put a HEPA filter in my home furnace?
Or in my air conditioner.
Right. Because your home air conditioner, your home furnace doesn't run all day long every day. When you turn it off, the air quality is going to go back to whatever it was before you turned the air filter on. And I don't know about everybody else, but my house, my furnace, it's a 2-story house, and it struggles to get enough airflow up to the second floor as it is. So if you put a filter in it that is it's thicker and it will restrict the flow a little bit. So you're already dealing with that. So that's why the portable purifiers make a lot of sense. Hopefully that.
So, in another, so we jump into the next question, which will be, so what you're saying basically is that an air filter is a real need. It's not a luxury. There is a proven difference when it comes to having an air purifier in your office, in your bedroom, in your house, in your business, right?
Yes. Yes. And we'll talk about that as we go on here in terms of, so you asked some good questions. So the HealthMate was the first product that Austin Air created, and they've created several since then. Our most popular unit today is the HealthMate Plus, and it has 4 stages of filtration. There's a filter on the outside that traps large particles. There's another filter in the container that traps medium-sized particles. And then you get down to the 2 that really are important. They're all important, but these are the 2 that make a difference. And the activated carbon is the product, is the raw material that will capture all of the gases, all of the formaldehydes, the benzene, any odors. All of those things get captured and held by the activated carbon. And then all of the particulate. So the carbon, think of the carbon as for gases, and the HEPA is for particulate. So the HEPA removes particles that are as small as 0.1 microns. So this is to your point before. The average human hair is about 75 microns, and we're talking about a particle that is 0.1 micron. So it's very, very small. Not even, you can't see it clearly. To the human eye, you can't see them. So we remove 99%. Remember I mentioned before, HEPA has to meet certain standards. So our HEPA removes 99.97% of all particles larger than 0.3 and 95% of all particles larger than 0.1. So for every 100,000 microns that go, particles that go through, you're going to miss 3.
Oh my God.
Right? If you think about it in those terms.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it, you put it in plain language, because, when people can get confused about the microns and what are you talking about, and,
Right.
all this terminology that can be really technical. But for example, from the buyer standpoint, that is not technical at all. Let's say a hotel owner that wants to enhance the visit, or right now with all this COVID thing that is going on, we've been saying that you have to do a little bit more than just the cleaning to be able to get me out of the door.
It's another level. It's just another thing, right, that you can do to make your environment safer. There's lots of things we should be doing, and we'll talk about that. But this is just another thing that, everybody, people want to drink filtered water. They want to drink spring water. And maybe you drink water, 10 times a day, but you're breathing every minute. You're breathing air into your lungs every minute of every day, whether you're awake or whether you're asleep. And people don't think about what's in the air that's going into my lungs. And because we've never been told we should think about it, really, unless you live in a place that's very high, pollution, like Los Angeles or Hong Kong. You live someplace where pollution is an issue, a big issue. You really haven't, you haven't been brought up to think about it, honestly.
I mean, right now we are thinking about it because data is showing that with this whole pandemic thing, the areas that have been more affected are heavy polluted.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
there is a correlation between the air pollution and whatever symptoms are we developing, either for COVID or for anything else that is going on in our environment.
Right. And it's becoming, this has done a few things. I mean, the situation we're in now has definitely elevated everybody's awareness of the importance of keeping your environment clean, right? Keeping your distance, wearing masks, doing whatever. Also keep your air clean. Keep your air as clean as you can. So let's talk about when let's talk about that. It's a great segue into this. So this is from our website back on March 24th. So this was when COVID was really still, just kind of brand new, but not really. So basically what this says is COVID is a new strain that really we didn't know that much about yet. But HEPA that is used in our filters is clinically proven to remove 95% of all pollutants as small as 0.1 microns. The COVID virus is 0.12 microns. So we are very confident that our purifiers are effectively moving the majority of the virus. And this is the important part: when it's airborne. It has to be airborne. For any air purifier to do anything, it has to be in the air. If it's resting on a surface, then you need to clean that surface. It's not going to suck that's not going to suck the micron or the molecules off the desk or your table or your floor. It has to be in the air. And if it's in the air, we'll capture 95% of it. Again, nothing will capture all of it. So you've got to continue to do the things you're doing already on top of trying to do something with your air. So hopefully that helps. And everybody knows you should clean and disinfect the surfaces. Have soap and sanitizer ready for your guests. Minimize any products that are going to cause, reactions, any types of products that contain VOCs or volatile organic compounds, as they're, known. But so if you should be doing that, what are you doing about the quality of the air in your facility, whether it's your home or your business? What are you doing about it? I have a unit sitting right here next to my desk, running all the time, and I'm glad it's here, quite honestly, because as this says, you can't see the majority of the pollutants that are in the air, but they're always there. Viruses, things that cause allergy attacks, VOCs, those are all things that are going to cause negative effects on you and your guests if they're sensitive to them. And we know that any allergist will tell you that there are certain things that will trigger an allergy attack, and nausea, fatigue, etc. So that's one of the things you have to be cognizant of is what are you using to clean your facility or your house that maybe is causing more issues.
Connor Offord has a good question, and I'm gonna send it to both of both of us. It says, I assume you're a big advocate for passive house. The passive house standard is the building standard, which ensures the building is airtight, therefore ensuring no leaking of air in or out. That this guarantee the quality going into the home can be easily purified and controlled. Let me just jump in real quick.
Yep.
From my perspective, as a wellness advocate, I don't necessarily go towards being an advocate of a passive house, like airtight spaces where there's no in and out. On the contrary, I do believe that great ventilation and open spaces according to nature are great. But when it comes to, for example, a massage room, where, let's put it this way, not every spa in the world, not every building in the world have the access to be open to nature and have the capability of being the architecture being naturally harmonized with nature, then you are going into a room. If you're going into a doctor's office, if you're going into a dentist's office, if you're going into a lawyer's office, if you're going into even a supermarket, if you put it that way, or those are businesses that are not at the moment, they might be in the future, they are not have open spaces where the air can flow freely and you have a natural ventilation. So I'm right now being an advocate of controlling, or actually guaranteeing, clients and visitors in those tight spaces a good quality of air. I don't know, Jim, Bill, if you want to jump in and give more to Connor into that.
I'm not familiar with the passive house standard. So, but if what Connor listed there is what it is, and that means that the house is airtight, then the minute you open the door, you're going to let air in, because air is constantly moving no matter what. So if you burn toast in the kitchen and you're on the third floor, you're going to smell it because the air is moving. So I don't know about the passive house standard, but if it's new construction that's referring to, then that may be something that, you know, I'll look at and try to become more educated on. But in terms of 99% of the homes in our country anyway, in the United States, and our hospitals and our nursing homes and our long-term care facilities where a lot of the most vulnerable people are, you know, I'm sure you've read about what's happening in, you know, this country in terms of nursing home deaths related to COVID. It's sad. And I think a purifier is not going to be the, you know, the cure for that, but I believe it would be another level of, you know, care, another level of protection, if you will, that, you know, it's just another level, just like wiping everything down. It's not going to solve everything, but it's something that you should be doing, right? Washing your hands, etc. So anyway, I don't know if that answers Connor's question or not.
Well, we'll hope so. We're talking about here environments that, yes, that we can actually control the what is within that environment. So I'm not 100% familiar actually with the passive house standard as well, but coming from the definition and the concept that he provided us, I'm an advocate of integrating architecture and nature, but when that's not possible for whatever reason, climate changes. I mean, imagine going into Minnesota, in the center of the city, traveling for business. I traveled there a couple of times last year, and the weather I was freezing most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I wanted to open a window and my hotel room to have some fresh air, I couldn't.
Yep. So you were forced to
I
breathe.
couldn't.
You were forced to breathe whatever was in that room.
Yes, exactly. I was
no
forced to
matter where
breathe.
it came from. Yep.
I was forced to breathe whatever was in that room, whatever was in that conference room, whatever was in any place that I went in the hotel or businesses that I visited. I was forced to breathe that air. So the goal that we're trying to show here with this webinar is that there is more to it. We can actually make a difference. We can actually upgrade and make our guests feel better while they're staying in our hotels, while they're visiting our offices, when they're coming to our businesses. There are ways that we can actually say, look, I'm looking after you. And right now, that is the message that I want to hear for any business that I'm going to.
Right. And thank you for that. I think the standard going forward, maybe not right away, but at some point, you know, you're not going to be able to just walk in to a nursing home anymore, and people are going to expect that you're doing something to protect them. After all of this, they're going to expect, just like that you're expected to wear a mask. Well, then I expect you to be doing whatever you can to provide a good environment. If I have to sit in this waiting room and wait for my doctor, I want to make sure I'm breathing clean air, right? And I think that's going to be an expectation. We'll see. We firmly believe it's going to be. And, you know, we're seeing, and I talked to you about this last week, the uptick in the demand for our products has been big. We have not closed at all because we continue to be a essential business because of the products that we manufacture. So we do practice social distancing and all of that. But anyway, so hopefully that answers Connor's question. If not, fire away and we'll do a better job.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes to the, for example, the businesses that we're talking about and those expectations and stuff like that, you mentioned that before during your presentation that there is a link. There has been studies linking productivity to the air quality. So, you know, from a business standpoint, I'm saying, okay, so I'm going to invest X amount of money into this air purifier, how can I see really, you know, it's not going to be so tangible, but at some point it's going to be really in evidence, I guessing. From your experience doing this business and from Austin experience, what has been that, that feedback, that experience from like, okay, this really works. This
Yeah.
is really good for us.
Good question. So, you can go onto our website and see the feedback that our customers, as recently as last week, because people are buying them. And I see the boxes going out the door every day, and they're going to every state in the country. People are just getting on our website. They're looking at our products. Number one, we have product available. That's a big difference from a lot of people. There's 2 to 3 week lead times. They can't get them because they're coming in from China or they're coming in from another country. We don't have that issue. And some of the reviews that I've read recently are pretty interesting in that, people just are so thankful to have finally found something that works. I can only tell you my own experience. And so when I first started here, I was able to get a unit. And looking at this slide, if you look at the third bullet, basically your immune system needs to rest just like you do. And basically when you're sleeping is when your immune system recharges. And if you're breathing in allergens or contaminants, your immune system reacts to that, and it's continuing to work, and it never has a chance to rest. So from my experience, the first night that I had the unit in our bedroom, and Austin recommends that if you're going to have a unit, put it in the bedroom, because that's where you spend 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours of your day, and that's when your body needs to clean basically. So in a hotel room, it's perfect because that's where people are going to go and sleep. So that's where you want this thing to be. The very first night we turned it on, and believe me, when I first came here, I'm like, really? Because you can't see the air. The air comes in, it goes in and it comes out. I don't know if it's clean or not. But
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I just don't. So, but I can tell you the very first morning I woke up and I'm not exaggerating, and I have 2 daughters who live at home with me. They each have their own bedroom, and I ended up getting one for each of their bedrooms, because the first day I woke up after the fact, I looked at my wife and I said, I didn't hear you snore last night.
Wow.
And it actually reduced the amount of snoring that both of us did. It felt, I've never felt so different when I woke up in the morning from a just physical perspective. It felt like my nasal passages and my sinuses were completely clear. It was the weirdest thing. I looked at it, I go, that's just weird. I don't, and I came in and I told my boss, I go, you know what? I wouldn't have believed it unless I experienced it myself, because I'm just that kind of person. And I think a lot of people are. If you're going to spend $600 to $800 on a piece of equipment and you're going to use it, but at the end of the day, when I look at it now, I turned it on. I haven't turned it off since, and that was on February 12th is when I got it. I know because I started February 11th. And I turned it on and I haven't turned it off. It runs all day, every day. I never turn it off. And that's how it's designed. And for the next 5 years, while that filter is doing its job, I intend to have good night's sleep. So when we talk about, recharging your immune system, a healthy and recharged immune system is the best thing you have to fight off anything that's trying to affect you in terms of a bacteria, virus, whatever. And so I think that's all I can share from my personal experience. You'd have to ask my daughters what they think, but
I'll have their phone numbers and go and ask them, but I do believe you.
yeah,
It's something that you mentioned right now in your answers, where you're saying you are straining your immune system, and part of having a wellness vacation is enhancing your well-being, which is completely linked to your immune system and your body.
yep,
I mean, so imagine how good will it feel a guest that goes, I mean, this is one of the optimizations that I keep telling people. These are little things that you can do to enhance that experience that that person is going to have in your hotel room, in your villa when you rent it, and anything is an added value. Imagine how great that person is going to come out saying like, wait, I've been here for a week and I'm breathing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that kind of leads to the next thing. So we talk about return on investment a lot. People want to know, well, what am I going to get out of this, whatever I spend? Well, I think some of these are my opinion. But if you're not doing something to clean the air, I think you're going to be in the minority. I think a lot of people, just based on the input we're receiving and actually the orders we're getting, that from people we haven't gotten orders from before, that people know that this is important. And I think not only are you going to have to clean better, you're going to have to do a better job of really focusing on that. You're also going to have to do something to make sure the air in those rooms is as clean as you can make it. And people are, like I said before, people are going to walk in and they're going to expect it. Maybe not today, but a year from now, maybe less. They're going to say, "Oh, you've got air purifiers? Great, I'm staying here." And I think your facility will have a better perception. It's improved facility perception is what I called it. And think about if your staff you could have better productivity from them. There is documentation on this subject of reduced absenteeism. People will have less allergy attacks. So you may reduce your absenteeism. So basically it should be a better experience for everybody. But the last question is, what's it going to cost you if you don't do anything, right? If you just sit there and say, well, I don't believe it. The air in this hotel has always been great, and maybe it has been. But I think if you want to really, deal with what's going on today, and I think the other thing that's going to happen is this COVID-19 is not the last thing that's going to happen, right? We capture flu virus, we capture, COVID-19, whatever the next one is, people are going to be more conscious of it and they're going to just come to expect it. So I think that's kind of where Austin Air's position is look, we've been doing this for 30 years. We've known that these things work. We've known that we do a better job than just about anybody else out there. And there's a lot of companies out there that sell products with lights in them and warnings. Basically, our unit, you turn it on, you walk away. That's it.
Let me ask you this, because I remember during our conversations before getting into the webinar, you mentioned a capacity of rotation of air, which amazed me.
Yes.
And that I was really surprised by it. I was like, what are you talking about? How many times and what? So share that with our audience so they can understand what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. It's referred to as the air changes per hour. And it's basically a mathematical formula. And basically what you do is you look at your room. Let's say you have a 10 by 10 room, just for easy math, because if I don't have a calculator, I'm not good at math. So 10 by 10 room, and let's assume an 8-foot ceiling. So 10 by 10 is 100 square feet, times 8 is 800 cubic feet, right? So you've got 800 cubic feet of air or space in that room. Well, what you want to look at is how many times, and literally, if you put an air purifier, ours specifically, in that room and turned it on, within 15 minutes, all the air in that room would have been circulated through the filter. And you would have cleaned it at least once. So you take a look at what the output of an air purifier is. And in our units, depending on the speed of the fan, it's anywhere from 75 to 250 cubic feet per minute. So if you've got an 800 cubic foot room and we're putting out, let's say, 200 cubic feet of purified air per minute, just do the math, right? We can change the air in that room many, many times. So because there's always things coming into the room. It's not a sealed, it's not an airtight container, right? If it
No.
was, you'd have to only remove what's in there once and then you're done. But windows are open, kids are coming in, dogs running in and out. They're not necessarily in a hotel, but in a home. But in a hotel, the cleaning people are going in. There's all sorts of activity within that room that are causing the air to become polluted, contaminated. So does that make sense? So really what you're looking for is something that moves the air, because if you're not moving the air, you're not filtering the air. There are other products out there that will say, we're whisper quiet, basically because they don't move any air. And you've got to move the air to get it through the filter. So it's like a vacuum cleaner. Think of it that way. I mean, if your vacuum cleaner is super quiet, well, then it must not be working really well, because any vacuum cleaner I've ever used is pretty loud, because it's sucking in a lot of stuff. The air that's moving through a vacuum cleaner is pretty fast, right? So it has to. So anyway, does that answer your question?
It is really impressive. Just the thought that, I mean, I'm thinking on the perspective of a business standpoint, especially in the area that I develop my business, which is travel and tourism. I mean, a spa cabin and a spa treatment room, even at a simple conference room in a hotel, the business centers in the hotels, and I'm talking about areas that are, let's
Communal
put it
air.
that way, an 8x10, or even an 8x12 or a 10x10. I'm not talking about big areas, even just a simple bedroom. Just the fact that you can actually say, even, taking this data from you guys and saying, this is how many times the air is being purified in your room while you're not even in there.
Yeah,
Because
right.
you're not turning off you're not turning off. When you get into the room, the air conditioner is already on. The
Right.
heat is already on.
Yep.
So you're not getting there and turning everything on. It's something that keeps running, and it doesn't matter. I mean, how about maintenance though? For example, a homeowner, does he want this filter and puts a few in their house, or a villa that is gonna actually invest in this kind of features to enhance the guest stays? Airbnbs that now, they're going through these ups and downs, and people are like renting houses outside of the affected areas, which has become a trend
For sure.
of the rich and famous, let's put it that way.
Think about that.
um,
Yeah, if you had an Airbnb, think about that. If you had an Airbnb that had a purifier in every room, you're a step ahead, because I'm going to look at that one. Just like, so that's a really good point, and one I've actually not thought of until now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of like, if anyone from the standpoint of business can, I mean, you say that this information is actually available on your website, and it's actually available as the features of a product that you guys develop. So it means that I can actually, as a business owner, use it for my advantage, and featuring that the things that I have, as offering you to come over to my business, it's gonna actually, this is what it does.
Exactly.
I mean, just think about it. You get into the hotel room, and you shower, you dress up, you get out. You, in a business trip, for example, you get out. You either choose to clean up your room, someone will clean up the room, or you don't. I normally, if the stay is like 2 to 3 days, I don't even ask to clean up the room, just for privacy, and also because I'm conscious of like not changing my towel, and all the things of the eco whatever, the eco sustainability. But I'm sure that there's people out there that put it out there, and they say like, clean the room, like clean the room every day, make my bed every day, come on over. Now with this pandemic going on, I'm going to be one of those that are going to be saying like, no, come and clean my room,
Yeah,
because
no,
I'm
for
coming
sure.
in and out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, I mean, as sustainable as I want to be, and eco-friendly to the environment, this kind of the things that we're thinking forward, like people are going to be starting to say, and people
Yeah.
are going to be starting to do. So if I have a device in that room that is working for my health while I'm going away, coming in and out, besides just the cleaning, like we mentioned, it's a great plus.
Well, and
And
I
even,
think, yeah, think about the number of times, for me personally, I used to travel a lot back in the day. And I remember almost every single time I walked into a hotel room, the first thing you're experiencing is the odor.
Yes.
Is there an odor in this room of some kind? And what is it? Where's it coming from? And so that's what these types of devices will be very helpful with that activated carbon. Those odors get eliminated. And so you're walking into a room that smells just fresh and clean. It's just, so I think I go back to the last bullet on this slide. What's the cost if you do nothing? What is going to happen if you don't do anything? And I think you're going to be alone. I think you're going to be one of the few people that are looking at it and saying, but I don't think you can do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't think either. I think that from now on, the way to revamp the industry, any business right now, is to think forward. How can I protect my employees? How can I protect myself? And how can I protect my clients in any industry moving
Yep.
forward?
Agreed.
So I thank you so much, Bill, for
You're
being with
welcome.
us today, for
You're
your
welcome.
time today. Thank you, everyone, those ones who stayed, those that didn't come, but you will receive this information as well in an email. And Austin Air, I mean, I got into them because I did some research. I started doing some research on air quality, which is one of the main features of having a business that is actually for your well-being. Is the air quality in that business? How is it handled? How does it come in? What are the standards to measure it? And how can I, that to enhance productivity and to enhance the well-being of anyone that comes in and out of that building? That's how I got to them. So I truly recommend it to you guys. Please believe me, this is not a sale webinar. We're trying
No.
just to educate you. You can take advantage of any disinformation. Yeah, I recommend them because, like I did, I did some research. But you can do a lot of research. There's a lot of information out there, especially now that high scientists, highly qualified scientists, are starting to say, "Hey, this pandemic is related to air pollution. This is important. We need to pay attention to what we're doing and what we're breathing."
I think the only other thing that I'll mention is that, and to your point, there is a lot of information out there, and there's a lot of confusing information out there. I think, if you start looking at, and you just Google, best air purifier, you're going to get a ton of information. Some of it is going to be very, some of it's even over my head. At the end of the day, you want to put the air, just like you would filter water. You want to put water through a filter to trap any contaminants. You want to put air through a filter to trap any contaminants. It's basically the same thing. Keep it simple. Ours are simple. We've been doing it for 30 years. We know what we're doing. And I appreciate the opportunity to at least have a conversation about it. And if anybody has any questions or wants to contact me, then my information's up on the screen. And Sorabel, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Bill, and everyone. Have a blessed weekend. And for those that are in the United States, happy Memorial Day, happy Memorial Day weekend. It will be the beginning of the summer for all of us. Let's make the best out of it, right? Under the
Absolutely.
circumstances. Thank you so much, everyone. Again, have a great weekend. Bye-bye. Thank you, Bill.
Bye. You're welcome.
Bye-bye.